All right, our last example, section of 1-5, analyzing graphs of functions. We have our even and odd functions. And so we've talked about solving for even and odd functions before by, if we want to test for even, we're going to change our negative x in for x, and for odd we're going to change that, and we're also going to substitute negative y in for y. We can do a single test to actually test for both of these things. If we just insert negative x into our function and see what we get as an answer, we can see if things are even or odd. If we insert negative x in as our value, our input for our function, if our result is the original value, our function is even. If our result is negative f of x, our function is odd. Let's take a look at what we mean by this. So the function g of x equals x cubed minus x, that is going to be odd because g of negative x equals negative g of x. Let's see the steps here. So g of, if we put negative x in, we're going to get negative x cubed minus negative x, and we're going to simplify this. Negative x cubed is just negative. If we go ahead and cube a negative, it's going to stay negative, and then negative times a negative is a positive. All right, and our original function was x cubed minus x. We could substitute a negative out of this, factor a negative out of this, and we'd have negative x cubed minus x. Notice how our final equation is exactly the same as our original equation, except for this additional negative. If that's the case, then our function is odd. Same thing, we're going to look down here for even. Let's test. If we go ahead and plug in negative x, we'll get negative x squared plus 1. We all know what happens when we square a negative. It just turns back into x squared. We have exactly the same thing as when we started, so this is even. Last problem to try. Go ahead and try exercise 83, and just above there is graphically what these look like. Remember, odd rotates around the origin, y flips on the, even flips on the y-axis. All right, last one, f, put in negative x, equals negative x to the 6th minus 2 negative x squared plus 3. If we take a negative to the 6th, it turns back into positive. If we take a negative squared, the negative also goes away. Do we have exactly the same thing as what we started with? Yes, we most certainly do. So 83, we're going to call this an even function.